Hey everyone, it's Nikki here, and Merry Christmas. It's December 25th, and I am about to wrap up and film the December weekly number 4, which is the final video of the year. This one's going to be a little different. You're going to see a little talking head of me from time to time, but I'm going to hopefully intersperse this with some interesting video as I talk through this. But the fourth one, which is this one you're seeing here, is our 2025 stationery resolutions. So this one I'm pretty excited about just because, I think making resolutions is an important practice, even though sometimes I may not always refer to them and sometimes they make me feel bad. But otherwise, I do think this was a pretty sort of great year in terms of, me really keeping up with this channel. I think I published, actually I need to go back and check. I know there are 13 videos on my channel right now. I think they're all related to Nikki Kaigi. So if that's the case, I did release my first Techo Kaigi video in January, and since then it's been a interesting learning curve as I go through all the motions of posting things on YouTube, posting more on Instagram, and yeah, just a lot has happened this year and I feel grateful for it. I feel content about it, and yeah, a lot just happened stationery wise. So I'm actually looking at my phone because I wrote a little outline, so if I'm looking down all the time throughout this video, this is why. I'm not just checking my phone. Yeah, it was, for me at least, 2024 was a really great year of growth, in terms of, when I first set out the year, I said I was going to do a bit more creation on this channel and on my Instagram, and I think I did that. There's always the intention that you could have done more, but I think just generally over the past year, and especially in the past month, I've taken a good attitude to how I can really invest a bit more time and effort and just my creative juices into this practice, and it's been fulfilling and rewarding. And so yeah, I just wanted to make sure I write down what I want to achieve in terms of 2025, and with a few caveats of 2025 being a little bit different of a year. So yeah, I'm gonna sit back a little bit because I think my face is just really in the way. All right, so when it comes to 2025, there are certainly a lot of big changes happening. I don't know if you are a new viewer or if you've been around since my last few videos. But if you didn't know, I am 3D printing a human currently. And she's coming in March, and because of that, I've incorporated sort of a lot of new things in my journaling and planning lineup this year. And if you missed that video, definitely go check it out. I'll link it in the description below. And yeah, I think, sorry, I'm like stuttering. But next year is going to be obviously a year of changes and growth, and I think part of some of my resolutions here is really just to give myself a little bit more permission to be more flexible, be less hard on myself, and yeah, just sort of observe the changes that are going to come, and give myself permission to change and adapt as things come along. So yeah, that's going to be sort of a big theme of next year. But I've apart from that, I think I have, as I was writing these resolutions down, I sort of split them up into 3 more wider categories of things. So the first one being just personal growth and creativity. The second one being community and connection within the stationery community. And then the third one being about intentionality and balance. So The first one, personal growth and creativity. That's really, just a lot of specific things that I kind of wrote down, and then I was like, okay, so I think these can really bundle up into, a category of how I can be a bit more creative, like personally in my journaling practice, but also, just do things a little differently. So there are two things that I wanted to do this year that I didn't actually do. And it's one of the things that I think will be super important for me next year, as again, I mentioned a lot of big changes happening. One of them is morning pages. Or just having a journal that is not for public consumption. I think one of the things this year, as I was opening up more of my pages to the community, which is obviously a great thing, and these are pages that I don't mind sharing. What I realized is that I started to hold back on writing certain things down because I knew that I might be sharing these pages. So next year I want to sort of have a journal that is more about me and more about just not sharing this online. So I mentioned this in the Techokagi video, but in case you missed it, this will be housed in this Pam Kobanichi cover, which I love, but I wasn't planning on putting my Han in, and so right now it houses an A5 Stalogy, which actually connects to another resolution that I think is in my list here somewhere, but I think this is on everyone's resolution, so it's not even worth mentioning. I mean, it is, but it's about using my stuff. And so this Stalogy is the Yoseka Stalogy, the special edition one, which I've held on to and kept for so long already at this point that I'm like, I need to just use it. Stalogy is a brand that I buy stuff from, but I don't really use, and so I'm trying to figure out, is it because I don't like the paper? I don't know, because I haven't really used it. So this will be just sort of my personal, I'm probably not going to share much from these pages, but I also wanted to, there's also a part of me that's like, if I'm not sharing things from these pages, like, do I need to use a nice notebook? And the answer is yes, because I want to treat myself well, and so this is a very, just, I want it to be something that I look forward to going into, and so more morning pages, more reflection, more sort of things that aren't, public anywhere else is going to happen here. But this is probably something you won't see very often publicly. Second thing that I wanted to do is gratitude journaling, just because I think it's easy to forget things that you're grateful for on a day-to-day basis, and it can be short and sweet. And so this is, I just started this actually. I love how most of these planners start in December, so you can give yourself a little bit of almost like a practice run. And so I've been doing this on the calendar pages of the Traveler's Notebook calendar, which I bought, and I didn't really know what to use it for because I have some other calendars that I'm using already. And this is actually, I discovered a really good space to do just that, which is like sort of 1 line a day gratitude journaling, and it's been super helpful. And I've been doing this since December 12th, and apart from missing a few days, I've been pretty good about keeping this up. It's just something to have on my desk next to everything and easy to complete at night. So that's sort of like the more personal growth side of things. And I think another sort of 2 other things that I, sort of belong in this sort of space as we talk about personal creativity is I want to just, incorporate more of my stationery items that I've bought over the years. And this, I just mentioned this, but I've hoarded a lot of items. I think, actually, I didn't intend to show you this as I was sitting here, but I mean, okay, maybe you can't see this. Maybe opening this will be helpful. Like, this is my stationery closet. And what this means is I just have so much stuff in here that it's like I could shop in my own home. And so just kind of finding creative ways to use my things more, and I think that's partially the reason why I am sort of so inspired by, you know, creators and journalers in Japan, and, you know, kind of looking at layouts that people do. I think giving my permission to use more color, to be a little less like rigid with the structure of my journals, I think is super important, because yeah, I think, you know, we often can get in a loop where we create all these systems and we have to stick to them, and you know, this weekly page has to have these exact sections and it has to be the same over the next 52 weeks. It sort of builds a sort of pressure and structure over time that then allows you to be less creative, which, you know, is sort of totally not why most of us do this. And so yeah, that's sort of part of the thing. I also wrote here, just use my typewriter more. And that's really so that yeah, I can appreciate the typewriter that Sean got me and actually use it for some of my pages. And you know, sometimes I think I'm going to, in lieu of sort of writing, maybe in my gratitude journal, not gratitude journal, the morning pages journal, maybe I'll do my morning pages on my typewriter. And so yeah, that is sort of the theme of just like personally how I want to journal, what I want to journal more about, in terms of, you know, just being a little bit more reflective, because I think reflection will be a big part of next year. And yeah, I'll let you know how that goes, and we'll see. All right, so number two was about connection and community. And yeah, I think this was a big year for that. Starting off with, I think I mentioned my friend Victoria, who is the founder and creator of Pouch magazine. She launched her first issue of Pouch this year, and super proud of all that she made, and super sort of honored to have been featured in that first issue. And you know, I'm excited to, you know, help out and be asked to help out for the second issue that is coming out in March. So I have 2 babies coming out in March. And yeah, through that, I think just realizing that there are so many ways for people to connect in this hobby. And even in just the past month, I have been on the sort of, you know, I have just witnessed and been a part of a lot of the stationery community's love. And first with and I might show footage here of that right at the second, of the Traveler's Notebook meetup that we did here in Hong Kong about 2 weeks ago. That was really sweet. I got to meet some people that you know, I've known online for a little bit. And yeah, we just got to get together, exchange, and you know, obviously people are just so kind and generous in the community, just swapping little Christmas gifts and ephemera. And it's just such a nice, I don't know, I would say it's a hobby I would recommend to people, but I just can't be like, you must love stationery now. And you know, it's something that I think is just, yeah, I'm grateful for, that we happen to be in a hobby and be in a community that is also just very giving, and you know all this. But yeah, and then second of all, last week, or just a few days ago, I met up with Lee Journals, who is visiting Hong Kong from Amsterdam. And you know, we've been in touch online just here and there, just DMing over the last half year, and I can't believe like she visited. We got to meet each other, we got to swap a few little gifts and journal together at a cafe, go stationery shopping. And yeah, again, like the ability to find friends and in little pockets around the world is something that I am super grateful for. The only thing is, I think, next year I won't be able to travel as much, at least in the earlier part of the year. So one of the things I do want to invest a little bit more into is, two things. One is just trying to be a bit better about finding more stationery pen pals and sending more happy mail to people. It's just really that sending letters from Hong Kong and just like packages is just a little cumbersome, because then you have to go to the post office. Anyways, I'm sure it's the same everywhere else. These are just excuses, but I want to be a little bit better about that, and so I know who I want to send more stuff to, and just and this connects to some other resolution where I need to use more stuff. Sending happy mail, great way to use your stuff. And I just have like stacks of like letter paper that I need to use up. In any case, that's it. That's one of them. And then number 2 is, what was number 2 again? I want to sort of give back to the community a bit more, and so thinking of hosting a few more giveaways. There are things in my stationery, sort of even in the planning section, where I know I'm not going to use this specific journal or planner for the year, and I might as well give that away, because if I don't use it up, it'll actually literally go to waste. And so yeah, stay tuned for that. I think that one is actually coming up soon, so definitely, stay tuned. I'm just still getting over my little cold from 2 weeks ago, and so I sound a little nasally, if you were wondering. And then I think while we're still speaking of connection and community, just being able to invest a little bit more time and just space for developing out the community for Pouch Studio, I think is something that I am really looking forward to, and reconnecting with Victoria. And she's really been such a kind of constant in my stationery journey this year. We meet up, which is really funny. We don't live in the same city. Actually, we did, but we don't anymore. So we've been just talking on Zoom calls once every 2 or 3 weeks, and that's been really nice, because just being able to connect with someone who might not be around me, but I know shares a very similar hobby. Even though we chat about Pouch, so it's like business, we do manage to squeeze in every so often in our conversations, like, what are you using lately? What are your stationery favorites? What's your planning journey been like recently? And so it's just nice to connect about that stuff with someone. So highly recommend it. All right, so we are now down to category number 3. And number 3 is about intentionality and balance. And I think that connects to a little bit about sort of the giving myself permission to just not being too hard on myself in terms of journaling, because again, this is supposed to be a fun hobby. And so number 1 I had here was stop overthinking how clean or organized my pages need to be. And that's really, I think, something that I don't know, actually, if you are making content online and you also share similar thoughts about this, I would love to know, because sometimes when over time that you have to share something or take photos of your pages online, you get this sort of like, oh my gosh, does this look good? Does this layout look good? So I think knowing that your layout will always look good, especially to other people. So stop being so hard on yourself, and really stop thinking about journaling as the sort of, at the end is like having to take a photo of it to share online. I think that will sort of give me a little bit more clarity and space to just have more fun in my pages. And then 2 other things is spending less time on Instagram. Because I did find myself, you know, kind of this year, because I'm on Instagram so much and I want to post more, that I found myself just being on Instagram a lot more and kind of seeing what other people are posting. And I think, you know, you can only see so much. And so kind of trying to limit that next year and, yeah, spend less time consuming and more time creating, I think will be a big part of it. And yeah, let's see how that goes. I'm not sure about that because I know I'm gonna have a lot of time to just like endlessly scroll, I think. And so yeah, just having to control myself on that will be interesting. And then yeah, number 3, I guess I'm not traveling as much this year, or next year. So my third thing on the list was really to not buy too much stationery impulsively. What I do think I'm gonna do, especially in this week's, which has been going really well for me in terms of being a sort of content Nikki Kaigi stationery log. I've been quite good at this over the last 2 weeks. And so hoping to keep up with it for sure. Definitely a good use of the weeks. At the end of this, I sort of log some like pens and things that I'm trying here. I have now a space for just general ideas. And I think I'm actually going to have a space here just for things I want to buy, like a wish list. And I did have a wish list separately somewhere in my plotter this year, which was super helpful because what it meant was that if I did want something, I'd write it down, and then instead of impulsively buying it, I would see if I still wanted it a week later or if that was really just of the moment. And when I looked back, I was like, oh wow, I like really wanted some pens here that thankfully I didn't buy like on a whim, because I don't think I would have been really happy with those purchases. So yeah, this year or next year, at least I won't have the opportunity to shop as much anymore because I probably won't be going to Japan as many times as I did this year. But there's always the ability to shop online. So, you know, being a bit more intentional about my shopping, buying stuff online, using my stuff, between all of that, that's really, you know, where the intentionality comes in. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't think I missed anything. I'm sure there's going to be more resolutions and more things that I want to do that come up, and if they do, so be it. But this is really where I landed at the end of this year, and I think, you know, the buckets that I put together are, at least for me, a good way to kind of center my year. And yeah, let me just, before we end this video, I just wanted to, yeah, I think that's really it. I invite you to share some of your stationery resolutions, or if you agree or disagree with some of these, I'd love to hear them in the comments. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, it would be great for you to subscribe and like this. I have a lot of ideas for videos that are coming in 2025, and I definitely feel, you know, a bit more creative about how I want to present these videos, what kind of videos they should look like. And yeah, thank you so much for subscribing if you already do. The last video I posted, Stationery Favorites, has, you know, been doing great, and I'm yeah, it's a journey, and I am glad you're here for the ride, and I am looking forward to continuing this journey with you in 2025. So without further ado, over and out.